Hey, True Believers, England Teen here with another Comic Book Origins, where we look at the very first appearance of any comic book superhero, villain, or team. In this case, we're looking at William Foster, otherwise known as Black Goliath, or Giant Man, or any number of things. He's got a few daddies, depending on what you want. William Foster, he was created by Stan Lee and Don Heck in 1966 and became a superhero, Black Goliath, in April of 1975. We're going to look at those two books, because after that he becomes Giant Man in Marvel 2-in-1, and then Goliath in The Thing. So we're just going to look at his first two identities, where he first became a superhero. But in an effort to really try to keep this video short on his Bill Foster appearance, we're only going to be focusing on his appearance rather than the rest of the story that surrounded it. Big shout out to Jim Sorensen for commissioning this video. Thank you very much for doing that. I'm looking forward to jumping into this. Now, if you want to commission a video, it's very easy. Just go on over to Ko-Fi. The link is in the description below, and there I've got a whole list of subjects and topics. Well, I got a list of topics. You pick the subject. You want a list made? You want me to look at a series? Does it deserve its reputation for being good or bad? How about taking a look at another origin, or comic books were better in this particular decade and or year? All sorts of stuff there, guys. So you go on over, like I said, the link's in the description below, and tell me where you want this channel to go. I love doing this because it's really fun to find out what you guys come up with. It's not really fun for the reason, though, because this channel is being choked out. It's being killed. And I've created another one right here. It's called Old Man Comics. The link is in the description below. Plus, you could search Old Man Comics England Teen to find it. Please go subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell so you don't miss anything. That's what they really pay attention to. So make sure your notifications are on. And yeah, I'd like to see you there as well. And thank you very much for everybody doing that. And for now, let's jump into the very first appearance of William Foster, Avengers number 32. As always, we begin looking at the cover, and in all honesty, there's a reason this isn't an icon, an iconic cover. It's muddled. Look around. Giant Man's costume doesn't look good. It's you got a whole bunch of serpent guys with helmets. You can't tell if they're coming and going. It's, I don't know, just bland, in all honesty. For all that's going on, it's a bland cover. So the premise here that gets Bill Foster into the story is that Hank Pym is stuck being a giant. Not a huge giant, just big enough to knock people around. Janet, she asks to help, but he's like, "You're a girl. If I'm going to get somebody to help, I'm going to get somebody good." And I'm not kidding. That's what the dialogue actually boils down to. And, you know, he's kind of looking around, then he thinks, oh, well, I know one person I could call, and he does. He calls Tony Stark, and Tony Stark's like, "Hey, I've got the perfect person for you." He works for the research department. He'll be really excited, especially when he learns that he's helping an Avenger. And then at the bottom, we finally have the first appearance of William Foster, who's going to become Black Goliath. And he impresses Hank Pym right away when Hank says, well, what I'm shooting for is, and Hank Pym, or Bill Foster not only tells him what he understands what he's shooting for, but how they could do it. And the two gentlemen get right to work on the problem when Janet Van Dyne walks in with what looks like food and tea and everything. And they just say, well, thank you, young lady. Grab the food and just start talking to each other. And she's like, wow, you two know how to make a woman feel needed. On one hand, come on, they are busy trying to help him with a medical condition. And on the other, yeah, they're also kind of being dicks. And then for some inexplicable reason, William Foster is outside of the lab in the woods when he's attacked by the Serpent Society. Goliath finds him laying unconscious in the woods. The Serpent Society left him alive. He sees a stick and he's like, oh my gosh, it looks like you got attacked by the Serpent Society. And then he shakes his fist at an airplane flying overhead that he could see the markings of their association on, and he brings Bill Foster inside, tells the Avengers about him, and that is the extent of Bill Foster's appearance in Avengers number 32. And we'll take a look at the first time that William Foster becomes a hero, Black Goliath, in Luke Cage Power Man number 24. Well, this at least is a better cover than Avengers 32, because at least you can see what's clearly going on. We have Power Man knocking Goliath in the face, saying, "Let go of my girl, big man, or I'll kill you." And the woman saying, Luke, no, you can't fight him. He's my husband. So there's definitely some explaining to do. What you can't tell is they're at a circus. The orange part is the tent. They're knocking over an animal cage of some sort, which it might be a lion because that's what it looks like with the little circular thing and the star on the bottom. Yeah, it's not as bad, but it's still not a great cover. We open to see that the writer Tony Isabella and the artist George Tuska are actually doubling as trapeze artists in this comic book, and Lynn Wine, for some reason, is trapped under a watering dish, saying that this is a very special day at the circus. That's a weird way to spend your day at the circus, Lynn, but to each their own. The book really starts on the next page where we see Luke Cage in full Luke Cage Power Man outfit is watching a circus in the rain, and they're saying, well, come on, you know, we're going to have a big flood. And people are like, hey, you trapeze artists aren't going to be chickening out. And one of them takes it a little bit serious, but his partner's like, nah, just ignore him, get down, it's too dangerous. But of course he doesn't listen. He walks out on the tightrope. The wind blows a trapeze swing right on into him, knocking him off of the tightrope. He gets caught against one of the poles when one side of the tightrope snaps, so Power Man makes a leap for it and tries to save him. But as he's doing so, the trapeze pole starts to come down, and he figures his only chance is to use his strength and weight to try to steer the pole into the tent, where both he and the trapeze artist falls. Now remember, he's invulnerable, and yet he still gets knocked unconscious, so I don't know what they're expecting to happen to the trapeze artist. The brother of the fallen trapeze artist extends a thank you, while the fallen artist is actually being a little bit rude. And we hear them say, Ernesto, you shame me. This is how you treat the man who saved your brother's life, with rudeness and a free ticket to the circus? Only when that man is the superhero New Yorkers call Power Man, my brother. A pity you could not devote a portion of the time you spend practicing to reading the newspapers. Actually, if you're going to do something that can actually kill you, practice. Practice a lot. And so he says, now come, we must report this to the capo. After our recent battle with the daredevil, excuse me, I completely read that wrong, and with the princess clash with Nomad, he'll want to deal with this Power Man before he has a chance to disrupt our plans for Goliath. Confused? Well, you can either turn to page 30 and 31 and spoil the ending for yourself, or it's continued after next page. We cut back to Luke Cage and his friend, and they're talking about, well, we need to get back to what we're actually doing here. And we find out that they're trying to find Claire Temple, the night nurse, and they actually do it, the bottom panel. He goes up to her and barely with a whisper calls her name. She hears, they embrace, and she's like, hey, you shouldn't have come here. And he's like, well, I wanted to find you. And she says, I'm not here alone, I'm with my husband. He's like, yo, what? So Luke decides he's going to storm away, but she's like, hey, no, he's my ex-husband. I'm thinking, dude, seriously, you should have led with that. Honestly, just tell him straight up, oh, I'm here to see my ex-husband. I want to do in private. Why don't you go away and let me take care of my business? That's what she should have said. Instead, you know, she led him on. Then she tells him the origin. Please listen, Luke. It's kind of hard to go over the whole thing. We were in college when we got married and so very young. It went wrong almost from the start. We were both too wrapped up in pursuing our own careers to show each other the kind of understanding we need. We went the whole bit, arguments, fight, trial, separation, finally divorce court. I got my degree and served my internship at a large hospital before starting with a clinic with Noah, and Bill went to work at Stark Industries when the Avenger called Goliath, better known as Henry Pym, was trapped at a size of 10 feet. Tony Stark asked Bill to help reverse the process. They succeeded. Pym gave up his role as Goliath for that of the Ant-Man and later Yellow Jacket. Pym's formula fascinated Bill, however, and he continued to experiment with them, improving on them, finally creating a fast expanding gas. Unlike Pym's various efforts, Bill's discovery eliminated all the harmful side effects of size changing, with one exception. He's now trapped at a height of 15 feet. It's no tragedy. Bill's sure he could bring the size changing under control, but that'll take money. He was too proud to go to either Stark or Henry Pym for help, so he joined the circus to get some fast cash. I asked you not to follow me because of Bill's connection with the Avengers. I was afraid they'd learn you were an escaped convict. That don't explain why you're here playing nursemaid to the Joker. Luke, I used to be his wife. I owe it to him. Luke Cage continues to try to argue with her, but before they could hash anything out, ladies and gentlemen, we present for your reading entertainment the new Goliath, aka 15 Feet of Fighting Mad. I don't know who you are, mister, but any punk messes with my wife is looking to be squashed flatter than a 2-week-old beer. Bill, it's all right. Skip it, Claire. If that joker's looking for a fight, then Luke Cage is gonna oblige him. Luke Cage is just all excited to fight. He's been knocked around, pushed around, thrown through walls, so he figures, okay, this is gonna end. And he hits Bill, Goliath, in the stomach, knocking him over. Goliath's like, oh, I'm not used to this height yet. But when Power Man comes close to him, he just swaps him away. Black Goliath says, well, I might not be as good at this size-changing thing as Hank Pym, but I can handle a whole bunch of small-timers like you, so why don't you call it quits? And Power Man's like, hey, I'll call it quits, but not in the way you're expecting. And he just lands a punch right in his shin, sending Black Goliath into the ground. And then it cuts to a subplot that has nothing to do with the first appearance of Black Goliath. Cut back to the fight that we're actually interested in, and we see Claire's yelling, kick his ass, Seabass! No, actually, she's yelling, Bill, Luke, stop this ceaseless fighting. Because, that's how people normally talk. That's a question that'll have to be tabled. However, we'll return to... Yep, you guessed it. Wait, what question? How are you supposed to read these panels? So, are they talking about the question that's coming from the story above, but then she yells and then they mention it? That's just bad editing right there, gang. Anyway, it continues. I wouldn't worry about it, Claire. I'm planning on doing just that. Power Man says, you think this nut's gonna save you, you clown? As a matter of fact, yeah, I do. Well, Joker? Luke Cage yells, you're wrong, and kicks Giant Man. No, it's Goliath. Fuck. Luke Cage yells, you're wrong, and kicks Black Goliath in the face. Lucas, when are you gonna start thinking? You kick a guy who's holding you 15 feet above ground, and he's gonna drop you. Yeah. I think that's just about all the beating I want to take from this sucker. So heads up, Goliath. After all, I wouldn't want to miss your chin and give some poor dentist the hassle of his career. It's a senseless struggle, that both have known from the beginning, yet they continue. They are alike in many ways, these two. They both feel set upon by the events around them. Each believes he fights for the woman he loves. Alike in so many ways, and so they battle until an energy blast surrounds both of them. What have you done to them? That electricity crackling around them, and they just stare at you. Why, my dear lady, all that has happened is that my associate has immobilized them long enough for me to bring them under hypnotic control of the Ringmaster. Your two friends will join with myself and my associates, Funny Man, the Great Gambinos, Livewire, Princess Python, and Strongman on a number of profitable adventures. In short, miss, the circus of crime lives again, and this time, no one can stop us. So there you go, gang, the very first appearance of Bill Foster and Goliath, or Black Goliath. That's the funny thing. He's never referred to as Black Goliath in the comic book. He's just Goliath. So why call him Black Goliath? Why I don't know. Did it sell in the 70s? I mean, I was a kid. I don't know why, hey, we need to put black in front of it. Can't call him Panther. It's got to be Black Panther. Can't call him Lightning. It's got to be Black Lightning. It's got to be Black Goliath. It just seems weird to me after reading the first appearance. He's never called Black Goliath. Anyway, what do you think of the story? What do you think of what I just brought up? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to click like and share, subscribe, and if you haven't done it already, ring that notification bell, but make sure that all the notifications are set on all. That way you don't miss anything, cool things happen around these parts. If you don't mind helping out the channel, this is the way we're trying to make a living. Go on over to Patreon or to Ko-Fi, drop $1 in the tip jar, and helps keep making videos for you. Or you could commission your own. You could just go on over to Ko-Fi, links in the description below, like I said, and pick a topic, pick a subject, and we'll get that video out to you ASAP. I'd like to thank everybody who's already done that, and to everyone, all of the true believers, thank you very, very much for watching.